All right, welcome back everyone. Today we have the BMW xDrive 28i X2. Great little hot rod. Yes, it's fun, frivolous, and it's quite practical, but it shows that it's actually a price point vehicle. And today I want to show you, walk through some of the quirks on the outside of the vehicle, the inside of the vehicle, take it for a short drive, and then summarize with the PITA score. Practicality, fun, reliability, as well as value for the money, what I personally believe that this X2 will provide you as a consumer. So let's get rolling right into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. So featured here is a 22 BMW X2 with the xDrive, which means it's all-wheel drive. It's a $2,000 upgrade from the xDrive, which is the standard vehicle that you would find for the X2. With that said, it starts around $38,000, and this again just bumps that up just a hair. However, as a BMW, there's a certain expectation for luxury, and this car actually, because it's a lower level and based on the X1 chassis, is quite frivolous by its very nature. There's some bare bones features to this, but there are some upper end features, and we're gonna walk through some of those to decipher the difference, why you are paying less money for this vehicle and where BMW has decided to cut some corners. But what we have here is a 2.0 liter turbocharged direct injected vehicle, all aluminum engine that produces 228 horsepower. It also makes about 258 pound-feet of twist, providing more than enough adequate performance for a day-to-day commute. It drives better than many of its competitors, for example, the Volvo XC40, and certainly anything from Mercedes or even Lexus that is in the same classification. BMW always likes to dial in their handling abilities, and the brakes are up to task for anything you'd expect from a vehicle of this nature. You're not taking it to the racetrack, but it does very, very well in standard driving. All right, so let's take this from the top and right from the front end of this car. As you can see, I love the front grille. The new BMWs are often known for their obscene, oversized, horrifyingly ugly large grilles. Look at the new M6, yuck, or the X7, or even the 5 Series, 7 Series cars. They've expanded everything. X5 grills are a little larger too than they conventionally were. Some people love it. It's an acquired taste. Personally, I think it's bleh. What we have here is more of a conventional style grill. Look at this size. This is more of what the true BMW enthusiasts would love, this style of grill, which is more consistent with the older design theme. Love that. Of course, down here, we can see we have this great front spoiler and valence. If you look over here, you'll notice this is solid. There's nothing in there. But as we pan on over here, we can see there's actually an inlet here. That's for the engine air, for the engine to breathe. So it's an absolute gorgeous look, nicely finished. And then panning up here to the headlights. Now I love these headlights, and we know that BMW has what they call the laser beam headlights. They have the little blue filaments in there. Well, these ones don't come with the blue beam, essentially the laser beam LEDs. Although these are LED headlights, we have the conventional LEDs with the angel eye trim rings around it, and these are very, very bright. They extend light out way beyond what older conventional BMWs would do. These headlights are amazing. They work great. I love them. Well, we noticed this. This is clearly a touch. A lot of vehicles, back in the day, they were going just with a hard shell type plastic around the wheel wells. While it wears well, it doesn't look quite as dressed up. This is nicely dressed. Then, since we're on the topic, the wheels here are great. I really love this laser cut look. Now, a lot of manufacturers are going with this design with the clean silver face, with, of course, of all kinds of contour and texturing around that. BMW, no different. These are absolutely gorgeous wheels, and a 19-inch rubber is slipped over top of these. But down here, you'll notice there's a little M logo, and unfortunately, BMW just loves to splatter those M badges over everything. Doesn't matter if it's a true M vehicle or not. This is a 4-cylinder engine. This is not an M vehicle, but they're throwing them on everything. Just an upgrade package. Personally, I think that in itself is a little greasy. Same thing Mercedes and the AMG. You know, a lot of these manufacturers are doing that. Just bump up price packaging, let's bundle this up and charge you a whole lot of money. And I love some of the design. Look at the rocker panel, how they changed the coloring here. You've got this gray component, flares out. It's a good look there for sure. And it's separate from this lower section of the door panel. It's a beautiful design. Here, mirrors, pretty standard. Yeah, LED there. But look, if you look down here, we'll notice we have the soft touch. You can use this just simply to lock or unlock. And the worst thing is, though, I noticed, even with the key, I unlock it. This does not have this on the back. So this is a little bit of a crappy design in my opinion, slightly less practical. And I spoke about this earlier. It's a price point vehicle, so you're gonna do away with some of the fringes. This is one of those. You don't have the soft touch here. pretty much, if you want to get in back here, you either get somebody from the inside, you unlock it with this. Now, you just pull it, but there's no soft touch on this handle. And again, BMW had to do away with some of these extra fringe benefits, but lo and behold, there you go. Up here, how about this? This gives this car away. Having this BMW logo right on the side of the upper deck here is something that BMW don't see in a lot of their other vehicles. So seeing that here clearly is a sign that, hey, when I see that, I know what this is. It's an X2. All right, so we circle around. Love this. In some older generation X3s, these were coming off. There was a recall because this upper deck was coming off inadvertently, wasn't properly fastened. Keep an eye out for that. So far, so good. I haven't heard of any issues on the X2. Here, love this smaller windshield. It looks very, very sporty. I mean, I love the overall design theme. What they're doing back here makes this vehicle look a lot better, in my opinion, than the X1. The X1's a little higher, a little frumpier, a little more conventional SUV. This X2, LED taillights. Again, we have a great theme here. We have xDrive 28i, implying that we have the 2-liter engine and it's all-wheel drive because it's identified as an X. Of course, we have dual exhaust tips. I love that. Look at the chrome down here. It's beautiful. And then we have this beautiful little spoiler, or if I can say splitter at the back. I like the use of multiple different colors. We have gray here, black here, and it's just a nice way to change it up. But look, here's an interesting little technique. Check this out. Press that, lift. Now how about that? So I like that concept, but clearly, do you see any buttons here? No, there's no buttons to close it. So in other words, to get access to this vehicle, you need to do it more manually, and you need to reclose it manually. Before we close that, I'll show you. Down in here, some nice stainless steel finishing down here. Of course, we got this. You can take this out if you need for larger luggage. Down here, we've got a little capacity for some junk storage, and even more so, lots of room down in here. But look down here. Throw some extra junk you want to hide out of sight, out of mind, and there's enough room in here even for me to fit in here. Look at that. I love it. So this is actually a 6-seater vehicle, if you will, right? You've got the 2 in the front, 3 in the back, and you could probably fit one more back here. Just kidding, of course. We would never do that. That's not legal anywhere, unless you're south of the US-Mexican border. Of course, so here we go. Let's close this. Boom. See, pretty straightforward, pretty base model here. We can open this junkyard up here. And of course, we have the fuel filler here. And pretty conventional stuff, nothing too crazy there. And you'll notice, as I just did, I open it. But as again with most cars, you lock it, and now it's locked. So fortunately, BMW did incorporate this little feature. Even though it's a base model vehicle, there you go, you're good to go. And as we cycle back, you'll notice huge sunroof up top. Now, the unfortunate part is it doesn't give you a ton of space. It looks like it does, but really what it does is it just opens up this section in the front, and it leaves a glass panel for the passengers in the rear of the vehicle, but doesn't open up entirely. And of course, inside, there's a black shade to keep things dark and snug in there. All right. Now let's see what this hot rod has inside here. Of course, over on the side, we have unlock lock buttons. Everything's at the convenience of the driver. Of course, you have your mirror controls and your power door windows. And of course, everything else is pretty slick. Standard BMW. You've got a mirror and a little holder for your paperwork. And as we cycle around, we have all the controls. It's a one-touch. Shade opens up. Then we press it again, and it opens the sunroof partial way, so it actually gets you open. You have to press it one more time. Extends it another 4 inches. Then we can close that up with one touch of the button, and it closes it all the way completely again. You'll notice here is a quick unlock for the rear trunk from the inside, and down here we have a great spot for a cup holder, and down in the middle, of course, 2 more cup holders right here in the front that you can store. You do have this little port for a DC charging outlet and a little USB port right there as well. Lots of plugins, lots of opportunities. Lots of that black high gloss piano gloss finishing that you see throughout there. They use that all the way down in the middle here, and of course the surround there as well. They include some of that high gloss piano stuff here as well. It just gives that the overall high quality look. Now some of the finishing materials is nice as well. We've got this nice blue trim and this strange stamped aluminum type of accent trim right here that runs all along the whole dashboard and onto the door panel. Now, of course, what we have here is an 8-speed automatic transmission, either shiftable down through the stock down here in the center console. You can also shift it over to sport mode and manual operation. You can use the paddle shifters here to run this ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. These transmissions are so intuitive. They are literally some of the best transmissions in terms of their understanding of what the driver wants and needs, that they are truly impeccable. They're great. They're the next best thing to a dual clutch transmission. So you can pull on the paddle shifters here. Also, very thick rim steering wheel, beautiful. Of course, more of this Cheesemo down here. This is almost like an extra large cheese pizza with extra cheese added on top by putting the M badge on there. But hey, BMW went in Rome, right? Then, of course, I'll add that there's some nice chrome accents. These are pieces that I think just add to the overall ambiance in this vehicle. We have cruise control here, easy to activate on and off, very functional, easy to up and down your speed, whether you want to accelerate or coast. And then, of course, on the stock here, we have this great little BC button, which is normal for a BMW. For any BMW owners, they'll recognize that BC button. And by activating that, you could activate some of your detail on the dashboard. You'll see it. It can give you the liters per 100K. It gives you all your trip information right there on the toggle of this BC button. All your amenities are here pretty much in hand's reach on your steering wheel. It's great. Love that. Of course, volume controls for your stereo. And with that said, with your stereo, of course, you'll notice this is a slot now. There's no more CD player anymore in these vehicles. Everything's all plug-in. Of course, you can change your modes of different plugins and options, but really satellite radio and plugins are your only option with that. Of course, you've got dual climate control, which is a nice feature there, as well as heated front seats. Now, as far as other quirky little features, turn your traction control off, of course, sport mode, and as well as eco mode for those driving Miss Daisy to work. Of course, here you have your backup park alarms, and of course, you've got your hill assist. E-brake for BMW is pretty standard. Turn that off and on. And literally the best controls in the business that you'll find by BMW. Everybody tries to simulate BMW's interface, but nobody can actually duplicate that. They have all the functionality here. So clearly, only Lexus and any other manufacturers could only aspire to operate this system as well as BMW's works. This is a great operation. The interface is nice. It's also now touchscreen. Change any of your features and elements. Go to my vehicle, for example. Here's one that I particularly like. Let's go to lighting. And of course, you go into that and you can change now your interior lighting controls. You can change all of the dash lights, the mood lighting. You can be done through this, both through the brightness as well as the shade and color contrast that you get there. You can do external lighting and some of the options there. For example, turning your lights off at 20 seconds and even your one-touch signal where you hit it and it blinks, blinks, blinks. It's a great feature. So all of this is accessible through the touchscreen here, or whether you like to use the xDrive controller on the console. This is all a great system. Little cubby hole here, and another one below. So lots of space, and you've got more plugins down below here. As you can see, space for your glasses and all your other junk in the trunk. Perfect, practical, and relatively reliable. With the latest BMW engine drivetrains, they're far better than 10 years ago. Look back to the E60, the E90 variations of the BMWs. Lots of reliability issues. These latest generations of 4-cylinder and the inline 6-cylinder engines, for example, the B58 is the turbo 6, 3 liters. Absolutely impeccable, far more reliable than the previous generation Turbo 6s. But let's show you another option here. This is another example right here. By pulling this, now this opens up. It's cute. I love this quirky little thing, but that's just another example of where it's not powered. They keep it simple. They do away with some of the extra little features just to keep costs down, but it's a fun little quirky option right there. So after driving this BMW for about a week, I found a few little nuances that I just didn't think were particularly easy to live with. For example, look down the middle of that back seat arrangement there. You'll notice that center headrest sticks up too far. So here, looking in the mirror, the rear view mirror, you can see looking down the middle, you can literally not even tell what's behind you when you're driving down the road. It pretty much blocks out any vehicle that's parked right behind you. It is seriously a concern. All right, so yes, you can actually tilt these down. So we have this really awkward seatbelt setup. That's for the third seatbelt in the middle. It's kind of ugly, it's kind of obnoxious and in the way, but yes, you can pull this down. So you have this little cable right here, and I can give that a tug, and then I can slide this whole schmoz down right there. And of course, you can do that with both sides. Get this whole piece down so you have space to haul a bunch of junk from the dump. in the back of the vehicle here. All right, so in we get, and of course, as you can see, it feels very almost cramped. You know, I'm not quite 6 feet, but I'll tell you, head's rubbing here, almost on the top. It's very tight back here. You've got not bad knee room here, but certainly up top, it's a little snug. What we do have though, some conveniences. We have this little stringy, we can give that a pull. With the press of the button, we've got a couple of beautiful cup holders right here. Close that up, wham, you're good to go. Now, if you look down here, all we have are a couple of quick plug-ins here for charging and whatnot, and your little heater vent for each side you can operate, open, close the vents, but there's no heated seats, there's no further amenities here. It's a very basic, simplistic setup. You have an aircraft style magazine holder on back of both seats, but what is nice is they're hard plastic, so when the little kidlings are kicking the shit out of the back of the seat, it's not wrecking the leather interior. It wears very, very well. So other than that, space is a little snug here, but everything is very functional by all means. All right, so first off, I have to mention this vehicle has all of the quirky little lane assist programs and all those things that are meant to keep people who are sleeping behind the wheel at bay and keep them safe. So I can feel that as I sort of drift across a line, it shakes a little bit, gives you that feedback that you know that, hey, wake up. It's time to get back in the lane. So we've got features like that. You can disable all of that, of course, but it's all there in more or less green and black on the dashboard. You can disable it. So let's just talk about its overall performance. Giddy up and go. So we're going to merge on. We're onto a highway here now. Finding a little highway access. And we'll get up to speed here. We'll punch it. So it does okay. It's certainly not the highest performing car in their arsenal, but again, as I mentioned, it's a 228 horsepower turbocharged 4-banger coupled up with this 8-speed auto. It shifts very quick. When you're pulling the levers on the stalk of the steering wheel, it actually responds like very, very quick versus a lot of those I've driven. As a matter of fact, we have a Mercedes C300, a 2018, so it's late model, and it doesn't shift as quickly as this. I would literally say that this gearbox is very intuitive, shifts very crisply, and if I can add, about as good as you're gonna find in the business for an automatic transmission. So I'm very impressed in manual mode when you're pulling the levers. Now you can toggle it down to sport mode here, and that sharpens up the throttle response, and you could actually hear it. You can hear the sensation in the ears that it's dialing into the throttle response. It just gives you a little more of that urgency, that sensation. Now it's not giving you really any more power per se, it just gives the vehicle a little bit of a sharper feel to it. And downshifting, literally it shifts, it's lightning quick, Even on the downshift, it's incredible how nice it shifts. It's great, wonderful, transmission's perfect. So this new xDrive 28i X2 can log a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of about 6.3 seconds. It's not a rocket ship, but again, it's peppy enough to get up and go. It's great for daily duties. And if there's one thing that I can summarize, this is a very practical, sensible vehicle that handles very well, and it gives you a little bit of everything. It doesn't give you a lot of any one thing, but it scales back on luxury amenities, it scales back on performance, it scales back on even the quality, fit, and finish. I mean, we're getting a lot more plastic on the dashboard, and I see as I look around, it feels like a well-crafted Fisher-Price toy. I mean, there's lots of great simulated fake stitching all over the dashboard. It looks good. It doesn't feel cheap. It actually feels very, very nice as I touch along the edges of the door panels. They have that nice tactile feel. There's nice texture to them. They're soft. It's not that hard, shiny, rough plastic. It's very smooth. It's very clean and soft, and actually feels natural, feels more leather-like. So the quality of materials feels very good. The acceleration is brisk, although not earth-shattering. Clearly, as I mentioned before, the brakes, they do stop you very, very well, but they're not Brembos. They're not oversized carbon ceramic brakes. They're not meant for that. These are basically a daily commuter meant for versatility, for a young growing family, maybe a young person that wants to get in and taste the essence of a BMW but doesn't want to spend 100 grand. This is a great place to start. It has the very basics of BMW. The iDrive system's great. The performance all around is everything that you could possibly ask for. Again, what I would say is it handles better than most vehicles in its class. So if you want the vehicle, if you're trying to make the decision between an X1 or an X2, if you want the vehicle that looks and feels a little more sprightly, I would say go with the X2. It definitely has a sportier look to it. The X1 has a little more headroom, of course, a little more versatile in that sense, but the drivetrain and all the other functionality is pretty much the same between the vehicles. At moderate speeds, I would say in the 30 to 50 mile per hour range, the car's fairly quiet. And when I say quiet, you still hear the tire noise. You can hear the tires rotating on the road. You're not totally isolated from that. And that would be expected from what we'd consider a lower entry-level SUV in the BMW marketplace. It's not the quietest, most isolated drivetrain. Also, when you get up to the highway speeds, as we did during that hard blast of acceleration, as you get up to that 60 miles per hour plus, you are getting a little bit more of that, if I could say, wind noise, things like that, elements that kind of remind you that you are in more of an entry-level BMW. One other observation is looking around, as I mentioned, you've got heated seats in the front, you've got a lot of great functionality, sunroof, large panel there, you've got, a lot of the things that you would expect from a BMW. But as I said, the front leg supports on your front seats with that pop-out shows that it's basically more of a baseline vehicle. I would also have to add that there's no heated steering wheel. And that's very disappointing considering you're paying this kind of money for a BMW. It's a luxury vehicle. And yet, we personally own a Toyota Camry we just purchased this year, a 22 model year, and it has pleather seats, but it even has a heated steering wheel, and it has remote start, and it has heated seats and all those other functionalities that you would expect out of a luxury car that you don't have in every luxury car. You don't have them in this BMW. But look in the back seat of this vehicle. A lot of it feels very dressed down. You don't have a lot of the other controls in the back compartments. It's a very basic vehicle, no frills, if you will. So I have to emphasize that enough. No frills, low entry-level cost, and you're not going to expect what you're getting at some of the amenities from a S-Class Mercedes or a 7 Series BMW. You're just not going to get that here. But that's okay. You're also not going to have the failure mode that you're going to get with some of the more premium versions, where you have extra technology that is guaranteed to fail after 5, 6, or 7 years. So how does this car rank? We'll talk about the PITA score, value for the money, performance, and the fun factor. We'll rank them all 1 to 10, and of course we'll summarize it. A pass would be a total of 20. So let's first start with talk about value proposition. This vehicle, of course, being an all-wheel drive, makes it practical in the sense of great for winter driving. When the roads get rough and the conditions are poor, it's a great vehicle to have in your favor because it's all-wheel drive, it's going to grip and go. Of course, it's also a 5-seater, so it's practical for a young family. You've got a rear trunk back there, so it opens up quite wide, and if you saw earlier, I was able to slide right in there, so it does have a pretty substantial capacity. Now, the downsides to some of the value proposition, of course, is it's a low roof line. As you can see, it's very scrunched. So if you're looking for that type of vehicle by BMW, the X1 is going to give you a little more headroom. It's going to give you a little bit more of that standard conventional practicality that you would hope for. So value for the money, it's got all the amenities you need. It's got the style and the features that you would hope for in most cases, other than heated steering, which is missing. And quite frankly, a lot of modern vehicles like Kias, Hyundais, as well as even Toyotas now are featured with same types of elements and luxury amenities that you're getting in here. So truly, it's not a luxury vehicle in my personal opinion. While BMW is a luxury brand, it's not treated that way, not in my opinion. It also is priced a little bit steeply for what you're getting, bang for your buck. And as it's based on the front-wheel drive platform, it's clearly not one of their more performance-oriented type of vehicles, although it does drive very spirited. So from a value proposition, I rank this new BMW X2 28i xDrive at a 7 out of 10. So the second point we're going to talk about is overall reliability. Now, it does qualify fairly highly. Now, a lot of reporters are saying, and the feedback has been fairly good. Now, it is a fairly late model vehicle, so time will tell. And if you were a betting person, historically, if history repeats itself, then you'll anticipate some repairs with cooling system, oil leaks. That's going to be a standard fare for a BMW. And quite frankly, some of the common issues that we're already experiencing in the X2 are consistent with crankshaft sensors that are faulty, the odd electric failure, cooling system leaks, and you'll smell that sweet smell of antifreeze if you're leaking. That could be a problem, and that is becoming a problem. There are some oil leaks because of the excess heat and the turbochargers underneath the hood. Of course, there are some reliability concerns. Now, it's not poor reliability, but there are some reliability things to consider. Also, high pressure fuel pump and fuel injectors have been noted as being problematic. This is direct injected engine, so note that if you have to replace fuel injectors, it comes at a significant cost. Those high pressure fuel pumps are significant in cost as well, so any repairs on this vehicle is going to be stepped up to another level. It is also at BMW shop rates and part rates. You're going to expect a pretty substantial maintenance cost regime to keep this vehicle on the road. With that said, it's not a horrible vehicle, and again, as I said, it does rank quite well, and I'm going to say that at this time, this X2 will rank at approximately a 7 out of 10 for reliability. Okay, and the third is the actual fun factor for this vehicle. How would you rank this? Well, I personally would rank this in a certain way. Number one, it looks sporty. It's a great, sleek design. People bored with that overall look, the high roofline that you're getting from modern SUVs. For example, vehicles like the X1 is the same vehicle, but with a higher top end. And of course, this does look better, so it has a very sporty feel to it. That's the overall dynamic. Sports, the theme that you're getting from this vehicle. Now, I will add, with 228 horsepower, it's not extremely fast in a straight line. A 0 to 60 time of 6.5 seconds or 6.25 seconds is peppy, but it's not fast by today's standards. I will say, comparing this to the X1, it does have a lower center of gravity and does perform like a better performance vehicle when on the road in terms of handling. Although it shares the same engine, it does handle better than both the X1 as well as some of its competitors. For example, like the Volvo XC40 is another one close, as well as the GLB and the Mercedes, also another close competitor, does not handle as well as this X2. So from a handling dynamic perspective, it's a lot of fun. Performance, moderate. Braking, moderate. So overall, it has a fun spirit to it. Looks sporty, it handles sporty, and quite frankly, it does very, very well for this class of vehicle. As a result, I would rank this vehicle as a 7 out of 10, giving it a grandioso score of 21 out of 30, meaning that it's a pass and it gets the green light for a good buy and a good value. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. Catch you real soon. Bye-bye.